If you are unable to join us, please have a good evening, and remember, tickets for the show are non-refundable. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you Steve and Nathan Moore. The honor is mine.
Credit.
Three little frogs sitting on a log. One of them fell in. One frog said to the other frog, well, you better go get him. Two little frogs sitting on a log. One of them fell in. Last little frog, he sat and thought, good thing they can swim. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn. Three little frogs sitting on a log. One burst into a grin. One frog said to the other frog, wonder what's got into him. Two little frogs sitting on a log. One laughed until he is red. Last little frog, he sat and thought, must have been something I said. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn.
Oh, we're on. We're live?
We're live!
Hey! Jabber Jawn, at your service. This is Kyle Hogg. I'm Nathan Moore. This is Steve Moore. And it's good to see everybody out there in the world. Welcome to Jabber Jawn. Share, share, share. Let everybody know we're here. And I'll keep my eye on the chat so we can see who's with us. And feel free to bring up a topic of conversation because we don't have anything planned. But we got our jabbers ready to Jawn here. I like how you can play with Jawn with the apostrophe between the W and the N. Oh. It's like Jawn, just like gabbing, talking. I don't know if everybody gets that double meaning that's in there. I'm a big fan of it. Y'all saw did we talk about this yet? About how I saw the Rocky 3, and it took place in Philadelphia, and they had a whole dissertation on what a Jawn is.
You did? Tell us about that.
Did we talk about it on the show?
I don't know. I don't think so.
That's going to be a problem. For our diehards out there, we've talked about this several times. We're all getting on in years to a certain at least enough to where it's not only possible, but definitely. Now that we're at episode 47,
Wow.
We will definitely be talking about things that we've already talked about before as if we've never talked about them before.
As if we know nothing about the subject.
It's definitely going to happen.
Well, the whole thing, here's what's going down, is it doesn't matter. Because where we're going to make the money off of this show is we're going to encapsulate it and sell it to nursing homes for people with problems of age like me. And it's just like when I would, I'm going to watch Andy and Mayberry at 4:30. I've seen it 4 times.
Yeah, it's not about whether
it's kind of nice because so like old friends, you're visiting the same old jokes and the same.
Right,
so, I think it's okay. And I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
Right.
If I tell you the exact same story twice, I just hope I do it a little better the second
That's
time.
the thing. That's what we talked about last week.
That's practice, and you have to practice all these skills.
You have to tell the stories over and over again to get good at telling them.
Exactly.
And you guys are our ears as far as storytelling goes.
Exactly. Yep.
We might as well just do the same show every week for a while till we get good at something.
So if we start talking about something new and you're bored by it, just write in and say you've already talked about that.
We could be easily fooled.
And we'll just stop, move on to something
What?
else.
You already talked about the thing that happened today?
It just happened this morning.
It just happened this morning. No, you definitely talked about
That was
that.
3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, you went to the great detail about it. I've got something I just found. When I was getting ready to come over here, I saw this on the internet, which I think most everything on the internet is true. So I just want to see what you think about this. There's a guy. Let me see what it says here.
He's going to his photos.
Okay, in the late 1960s, so I was alive, you were alive. British Columbia woodsman Francis Wharton shot a deer and used his teeth to make dentures for himself. Then he ate the deer with the deer's own teeth.
Ooh.
You think that's
The what?
He shot a deer.
Oh, I got you. With his own teeth.
Yeah.
With the deer's own
Wait,
teeth.
you think that's true, or is that some Trump myth? In the late 1960s, Donald Trump shot a deer.
Then ate that deer with the deer's own teeth.
Now,
The deer had tears running down his
It's hard for
face.
me to believe that a deer would have teeth compatible with the human mouth.
Well, I guess it wasn't the jaw. He just used the teeth.
I just can't imagine tooth for tooth. Oh, they got a picture of it? But
It doesn't
let's
look like
Google
deer
deer teeth. Have you looked at a deer? What kind of teeth do deer have? Google that.
Deer teeth.
Deer teeth. Images.
There's a band called Deer Hoof. I know that.
Oh, yeah, deer hoof.
Deer teeth.
While he's Googling that, I'll share a little situation I have going on. I bit the heck out of my tongue 2 nights ago, and it's still killing me.
Ooh.
Really?
That's not, they don't look that bad.
What a great crowd. What a nice crowd. Oh, and then I stumped my toe.
No, you're like an athlete when they get up off the
Oh,
field,
right.
when it comes-
Yeah, he's
super
still
okay,
talking.
so we're done.
But it was this whole moment where I put some peanuts in my mouth, and I was chewing them, and for some reason my tongue all the way around was between my teeth, and I sneezed.
Oh.
And the sneezing compressed my jaw, and I bit my tongue all the way around.
Oh.
It's crazy.
Wow. That's like
So I'm still like, I feel like my tongue is twice the size,
Yeah, well,
and talking is a little funny.
if it's infected, you better be.
I don't think it's infected.
the salt of the peanuts cleared it up.
You're right. Yeah, just need more peanuts.
That's like one of those things if you sneeze.
Have you heard of it? You act like you
No,
have a memory or something. Like you.
No, I've just bitten
You've
my
heard of
tongue,
it.
but I've never bitten it that
But
bad.
did it get infected?
Well, no, I'm just saying
Oh.
if it's still hurting after a couple of days, if it doesn't heal, then you ought to make sure you get it checked out.
Right. I haven't even looked at it in the mirror.
Well, that's something I think you should do.
You should have rushed in the bathroom and used the bidet to clean it
Oh
off.
God. So what'd you find out?
They looked pretty normal.
Really? Deer teeth look like human teeth?
Yeah. That was a 2.5-year-old deer. I'm not sure how old the deer was that he shot and killed. No, isn't there also, like, talking about rumors, isn't there a rumor that if you burp and sneeze at the same time, you die? Like your heart blows up or some weird thing like that?
No, I think you fart.
If you fart and sneeze at the same time?
No, if you burp and sneeze at the same time, you fart.
Wow, you really, your body's going to town all of a sudden. And then I yawned. I don't know what was going on.
He's fine. Happens all the time.
No, because I think it was like there's airs coming from too many places at once. And I don't know if that's just another story my parents would tell me.
It's like if you die in your dream, you die in real life.
Is that true? Oh, gosh. Oh, now I'll be worried about that tonight.
Welcome to the show out there, folks. Heather, good to see you.
Hi, Heather.
She says, yay, been looking forward to hanging with you guys all day.
Well, thank you.
Here we are.
John Dotson in the house.
Hey, John.
Here's a trivia question for you guys real quick. What was the name of the alien on the Flintstones? Little green guy. This is a charango that my brother Joe gave me years ago from one of his travels. And it was recently his birthday, and we all recorded a video for him for his birthday. And I decided I would dust this thing off to sing him happy birthday on it. And I got all inspired. I hadn't played it in a long time. It had a couple of broken strings, so I ordered strings and got it back to playing. And so
What's it called?
It's called a charango, sort of like a South American ukulele. It's a nice sounding instrument. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's got a little holiday sound to it.
It does have a little holiday
Christmassy sound.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh, dashing through the snow. Oh, wait.
I thought you couldn't do so.
Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Everybody, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Dad went high, hitting a high harmony. That sounded really nice.
It's the only one I could
Here,
find.
wait, hold on.
He was getting ready to sneeze and fart, that's why.
We might have to export this.
Yeah. I don't know if I've told anybody.
Oh my
what
gosh, this is our holiday special so
Yeah,
early.
we're practicing for the holiday special.
Okay, he just gave me a hard-boiled egg. I'm not sure why he gave me that.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Wow.
I'll edit that for the commercial for our holiday special, Jabberjohn.
We do parties.
Jabberjohn Christmas.
We do parties.
We do party.
We'll come up to 50 or 60 people at your house. We'll do that. Just give us a little corner. Did you ever go caroling?
Oh yeah. Even recently, like in the last few years.
Around here or what?
Mm-hmm. Like the neighborhood get together.
Wow.
It can be fun.
Do people like it, or are they like terrified at the door?
Oh, they loved it.
They know you though, right? It's not just.
Yeah, we mostly visited other neighbors we knew.
Okay.
You ever gone?
Ones you didn't invite to the party.
Right. Wasn't I invited to this? I want to go carol.
I'd love to sing. We've all heard.
Greetings from Tokyo. Look at that.
Wow.
What time is it in Tokyo?
You gotta be kidding me.
Welcome to the show, Brian. Silas in the house.
God, I would dress better if I know we have people in Tokyo watching.
Heather says I might have bruised my tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Tongue is a weird place to get injured.
It is.
There's nothing you can do. You just have to.
It's hard to talk about it.
Yeah.
Get right down to it.
What's wrong with you, sir? Well, my tongue. Yeah, I could get no help. I called the hospital. They couldn't understand a word I was saying.
The mental ward is 2 doors down. And we don't hand people with just mental problems. Get on down there. Damn line's out the door.
There used to be which building here was the mental asylum or whatever? What was it called? Western State?
Well, that was the one where the Blackburn Inn is. It was also Stanton Prison. Too.
Oh, it was both?
Yeah.
It was after.
One after another?
It was the prison after it was the asylum.
Wow.
Western State moved out by like where Chipotle.
Yeah,
all that
Western State
stuff.
moved out toward Fishersville.
Is it still there?
The building, yeah, it's still functional, isn't it?
I think so. I have a lot of
There's
friends in
one,
there.
the DeJarnitz building
No, that's
was at one time, I think, Western State too. I don't know. But it's not functional anymore, is it? I
feel like we were healthier when like the mental asylum and the prison were all like right in town, and we all cohabitated. Like, and it was, I don't know, it was like it made sense, and you could. I remember. I feel like I remember that being a prison when I was a kid. Is that true?
Yeah.
With people up in the watchtowers and stuff.
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, I remember seeing mental patients up there.
Just sort of wandering around.
They would be, that one wing had this patio, like, they were open air, but they had windows. They had chain links, or what am I thinking?
The fences, you mean?
They had the fencing.
Yeah, they were fenced in.
That kept them in. And so, but you could see them up there. And then later on, you could see prisoners up there.
Right.
You remember when they had the beautiful fountain with the colored water that would come right across the street from Western State? By the train track, remember they used to have the big fountain of water that would green and blue
Yeah, that
and
was
red.
a long time ago. Yeah.
God, I don't remember that.
That was really maybe we would always get excited. We'd go to Wright's Dairy, Wright and eat. We could sit over there and watch the fountain.
Yeah.
I feel like today's model is out of sight, out of mind. Like put the prison like out in Verona, out, you can't see it from the road, like just out of sight, out of mind. Just
Well, that was true back then too. They weren't trying to share anything. It just happened to be the way it went. They didn't want you to know what was really going on there either.
It was a good scare tactic, though. I remember once in a while,
Right, there
we
were
would
so
allow
many
my parents
elements.
to be like, "Is that where you want to go?
right.
You want to keep acting like that? We'll just drop you off here." No, I'll stop.
That's exactly right. Like, yeah.
I don't know if we should take you here to the crazy house or to the prison. One of them, I don't know.
Let them sort it out.
It's their problem. trying to tell me you bit your tongue, right?
You ever been in jail?
No, I would. If I ever had to go to jail, I think I'd jump in front of the police car and hope it ran over me.
Oh, yeah? You just couldn't do it.
No, we used to have a truck driver when I worked at a job, and he was in jail all the time. Big, like close to 300-pound guy. And he had to go to jail and prison a couple of times. He'd say, you go in, like, there's other prisoners just come to you, give me your shoes. Like he was like a big muscular. I'd be like, man, if they're telling this 300-pound man to give them their shoes, what are they going to do when I walk in? Hey!
You just walk in holding your shoes.
Hey, everybody.
I don't know, this kid just got locked up in here. He gave me his shoes right when he walked in. I didn't even want his shoes. Walk in.
But he would have to stay, and he said I can't remember if his wife or his girlfriend would come pick him up, and she'd be like, where are your shoes? He's like, man, they take stuff from you and threaten you. I was like, oh, man. Me and my ex-wife did have a vow that if I ever had to go to jail, she would somehow kill me, so I wouldn't have to go.
So what was up with this guy always being in jail?
I don't know why. He was just like a rough truck driver guy. I think he got in bar fights and stuff. It was never like he was never there for like months at a time, like over the weekend or something.
Drunk tank.
And then one of the guys that I worked with, it snowed one day, and the boss was outside shoveling the sidewalk or something. Then he just came in and goes, "Hey, we got a new employee." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And the guy had to leave like real early. He had to leave like we stayed up until 5. He had to leave like 3 o'clock every day. And I finally was like, "Man, why does this guy have to leave all the time?" So I found out the boss told me he was on work release. He had been just walking down the sidewalk going back to jail or leaving or something, and he had hired him. And then he found out he was on work release.
Wow.
But so he would leave and have to go back to the jail, and spend the night there, but he could work in the daytime. And he said the Richmond City Jail was so crowded when you go in, like they give you a bed. And he said like the first night somebody just comes up, I'm taking that bed. And you're like, what? And they're like, oh, that's my bed, get up. So they had to sleep on the cafeteria tables. No blankets, no pillow or anything. I was like, oh man.
I'm with you. I would not do well myself. It's like,
and I would be trying to be friendly to people and they would take that as, I'm sure, a sign of weakness. But I can't imagine myself being tough. Stand back, all of you.
out of the three of us, you probably fare the best.
Why you say that?
Ernie.
Because you fight dirty. Hey, ripped his eyes right out of his face. I can't believe it.
I think you guys could do whatever you had to do. You can adapt.
You think?
Oh yeah. You just, once you're there, you just do what you have to do to survive and get through it. You surprise yourself in those situations usually.
Would you try to make
Apparently, you're supposed to pick a fight with the biggest guy in the yard. Right. That's all I know. Just go find the biggest guy in the yard, kick his butt, and smooth sailing from then on out.
Something else I've heard is you just go in there and you pick you're gonna get your ass whooped, but you just go in and pick a fight. So they put you in solitary confinement. So you just get
that's what I would want is the solitary confinement thing. They act like it's akin to torture, but it sounds like what I would want. I have this animated series that I want to make of called Orange is the New President about Trump getting prison time and getting elected president at the same time. So he's in prison, but with his Secret Service detail, he has to do all the nation's business on one of those phones in the window. But the first thing he does is gets his Secret Service to kick the biggest guy in the yard's butt. That's episode 1.
Perfect. I love it. That's
the Dawn. Orange is the New President.
I love it.
Coming to Fox.
That's classic. Definitely coming to Fox. I could write for that show.
Oh my goodness. Whoever's watching from Tokyo says you might like this story a bit long about the town of Geek, Belgium. And then there's a really long story here.
Well, I don't want to hear a long story.
About prison?
I'll check that out later. I am intrigued, though.
Tune in next week.
Yeah.
Heather says the jail in Harrisonburg is on Liberty Street. And she found that out by looking irony up in the dictionary.
I love it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I will definitely read this story later, Brian. Thank you for sharing it. Very cool.
No, would you, if they had offered like one of those Scared Straight programs when you were like a teenager, would you have just gone to, even just to see what it was like?
Kids don't voluntarily go to that.
I know. Well, you have to be bad to go. If like they just said you can go with these bad kids and see how it is, would you have gone?
No. Would you?
Maybe
Did you want to?
Maybe that would be a good way to face
Mom,
my fear.
Dad, please send me to Scared Straight. I'm just so curious about it.
God. Well, my dad did used to threaten to send me to military school all that. I mean, he was dead serious, and I told him, well, just say goodbye to me. And he's like, why you say that? I said, because I'll never talk to you again. If you send me to military school, you might as well just say goodbye to me. And I guess he had to think a little bit about whether he wanted to say goodbye to me. Nah. And I'm like, no.
I guess I can relate to romanticizing like boot camp or something. Just like someone yelling at you, making you get in shape and get your stuff together. I could use that sometimes. I feel like drill sergeant.
Yeah. For getting in shape, I might do it, but not for being hard-headed.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Is that still a term?
Yeah,
hard-headed? Are kids still hard-headed?
Trying to break your rebellious spirit is what they're trying to do.
Is that still a term? Do you ever call your kids hard-headed?
Hard-headed.
You don't have hard-headed kids.
They can be hard-headed.
There's a tradition at the Marinos picking gang, or whatever. Joy Knowles sort of started it, but it's sort of this interesting move where when you end a song, you say a little thing over the final chord. So he'll sing like a love song, and they'll get to the end of the song. I tried to love her, but she was too hard-headed. That's one of the ones.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know what that move is. There should be a name for it. But you say this thing over top of the final chord of the song.
Wow.
That's my ma.
Good guys and bad guys.
Good guys and bad guys.
Now, with
It's a move. If you're a musician and you're at a pick, try laying down a little humdinger, right? Just some strange line right on the final chord.
now, were the performers supposed to play, like the next song, would you try to play off what they had said, or just whatever?
No, it's just a tag. I think it's technical term would be a tag.
Ad lib.
An ad lib tag. Yep.
Here, I got one.
But hard-headed's.
I got one for you.
All right. You want to just do it?
No, I want you to do it. My balls are itching.
Did you just need to confide that to somebody?
No, that's
Did your mic pick that up there? They heard it.
I didn't hear it.
Oh well, it's still gonna be good. Just forget I said that.
My balls are itching.
Yeah, you gotta like that.
You gotta like that. I just did that because I love you.
How could
My
you
balls
not?
are itching, so now who wants to hold my guitar?
Here, hold this. I'll be right back.
All right, I'm sorry. Sometimes I'm not.
My balls are itching. Where's those French fries everybody's been eating? Another round of nachos for the table. That's good.
Another round of nachos.
Wow. Now, do you know, was that when you first started going there, was that already in place, or did that start when you?
Yeah, that was a long tradition before I ever got there. Do you remember when Music on Tuesday started at Marino's?
No, it just kind of grew over the years. Just with it started off very slow, and and it wasn't like every Tuesday either. Sometimes it would just all be serendipitous and it would all come together. But a lot of nights it was, but it ended up being a regular group of about 5 to 8 guys, and they made it. But then it didn't matter who came or who didn't come. Beanie was there, and
Right.
and the music was there, and
Once you had Doc and Dwayne and Beanie or whatever, the rest was history.
yeah, Doc was always there on Tuesday night. That you could be something as simple as that. Maybe that's when Doc could get away, and they started coming when he would come. I don't know, but and most of them worked, so you can't do that every night. So it would just be one night a week.
Did you ever go to the original Tuesday night
No.
jams?
I moved away when I was 19, so I'd only been drinking like a year. I guess you didn't have to drink to go in there, but I always considered it like a drinking place when I was a kid. My mom tells me they used to give you candy or ice cream or something for a good report card when she was little.
Yeah, that place was family owned for over 100 years
Wow.
before it closed down. Before Dad's time. It was
Oh, yeah.
Marino's.
It was quite a tradition.
Man.
If there's any entrepreneurs out there, it's still sitting there waiting for the next vision.
Yeah, that's a shame.
They could use some Tokyo money.
I wish I had clones of me. One of my clones will definitely be running that place over there. What a dream.
Yeah.
There was like the wait staff the same forever.
Beanie.
He was
For 100 years.
He did it all by himself.
She.
Oh, she. Okay.
Well,
She was.
It was
marvel.
Arlene. It was Arlene and then Beanie.
Right. Arlene was still cooking a lot of times when I was in there.
Yeah, she was there for a long time.
But Beanie would do. She was a marvel. Everything was handwritten on a spiral notebook. So no, this is before everybody putting everything on their card and stuff like that, and just single-handedly with a place that's just like asses to elbows packed with people, and her just keeping it handwritten on a spiral notebook. You never went like. You always had a beer in your hand. Like the second it was gone, there'd be another one there. Like, it was just unbelievable. You see people today, like with all the technology in the world, fail at that kind of hospitality. And there she was, single-handedly, with just a pen and a piece of paper, keeping. Oh man, it was just such a marvel is like the word for it, because it was just inexplicable how she could keep track of everybody and what was going on and what everybody needed like that. Such a classic place. They used to have a blackboard right when you walked in. It said "shit list" at the top. And those are all the people that didn't pay their tab or whatever. And I'd been going there for years, and I was just like, at a certain point, I got this idea in my head that it was a shame that I'd never been on that list. I was like, Beanie, what do I got to do to get on that list? And like, you could walk out on a tab or start a fight or something. And then eventually she just put my name up there for me because I wanted to be on it so bad, but I could never earn it.
Now, were you able to get off the list once you like? If you
Well, then I think.
No, not you, but like say a regular deadbeat. Could they pay their tab and get taken off the list?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, get back in good standing.
Mm.
But that's just such a funny thing. Like, that's so old school.
Yeah, it didn't have to be about money. It could be.
It could be anything. Yeah, like starting a fight, just being a jerk, acting up. Yeah, just like you're on the list. So, you don't know any stories about that list, do you? Were you ever on it?
I don't know. I never paid any attention to it. Could have been.
That's a good move.
I wouldn't be surprised if Ernie wasn't on it a couple times. But not Steve. I would.
Does Ernie have a last name? Is he Ernie Moore? Just Ernie.
No.
Who's Ernie? I don't know if we've told this story.
Well, Ernie's just, there's an altar. He's just one of the people that live with me. I have several that, I didn't know I had him for a long time, but I could see pieces of him come out occasionally. But a lot of people have an Ernie that they can't control, and a lot of people have an Ernie that they can't control when they have alcohol. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of Ernies out there, and they're usually not a good character. Mm-hmm. They're usually violent, and they have but there are different degrees of that, obviously. And I'm a very soft Ernie. But if I see something wrong, I kind of get ruffled and I look around. And so I'm not afraid sometimes when I'm afraid, because I know that Ernie's back there. Mm-hmm. And so does the person I'm talking to. There's something about Ernie that can get into.
Do you remember first meeting Ernie? In case you're not following, he's talking about his alter ego, a personality inside that might come out.
Well, I think sometimes in the heat, what happens is, what we're talking about is the heat of battle. Mm. When you get into the heat of battle, and I've seen that with all of my children, and I've seen it on the sporting field. I mean, I know what I'm talking about, but in the heat of battle, your whole sensory thing, who you are is different. You're dealing with a different set of parameters, and you're facing different issues, and you're fighting, and you're into that. You have hit that full adrenaline. If you talk into the biochemistry, you're on full adrenaline rush, which is what a lot of people are trying to do with certain drugs. So you're there, mm-hmm. and you're on, A lot of people don't know they even have that, but it happens. Like if you're in an accident or or a life or death situation, you're surprised with what happens at the end, because it doesn't feel like you, but it is you. And that's a little bit of who Ernie is for me. He's just that guy that I know but I learned somewhere along the line just that he didn't want to come out, but I finally had to bring him out. And I think one of the problems was the alcohol. Because in the alcohol, Ernie can get loose, and he tries to take over.
Even when there's no threat, potentially.
Right.
Like imagines.
Exactly. He creates the threat by being the threat. And I'm not talking about my Ernie. I'm talking about Ernie's in general. But, mine could do it. But one of the things I think is true, and this is weird, maybe the reason my Ernie is gentler than most is that I have talked to him. And I don't ignore him and don't acknowledge that he's important in my life. But he has to be under control. And he has to do what I say. And we get along fine. But I think if you don't know that that's in there, it can shock you and scare you and make you behave in a way that you might really regret later on. Especially if these damn guns are involved. That's the problem.
Right.
These little split-second mistakes that Ernie makes in your head end up causing you to spend your life in prison.
Damage.
And kill people that you love. That's a horrible thing.
Did you name Ernie or?
No, people at Marinos are named him Ernie. Ernie's the guy that got up one night and said there were 3 guys sitting on the drink cooler, and they were very prominent people in the community. One's a known lawyer. Sitting on that thing, and I looked at my friend I was sitting next to, and I said, I can take all 3 of them out. And we started talking about it, and we laid a little money down, and I got a running start and did a full block. Hit all 3 of them. We all 4 went over into behind the drink thing there. And I don't think Beanie really appreciated that.
That's when you got on the list.
Yeah, I think I would be on the list. But that was all Ernie. But it was all in good fun. I was not going to hurt him. But that's...
Is Dwayne's song Ernie Does about your Ernie? Do you know any story? Have y'all talked about that?
He wrote that for about my Ernie.
He did?
Yeah.
That is cool.
That's the same Ernie.
I don't...
I can't remember one line. But
yeah, it's like, I don't like to do this, I don't like to do that, I don't like to fight, I don't like to fuss, but Ernie does. Ernie does.
Well, it's...
My balls are itching.
What?
Nothing. He used your tag.
I don't like this guy.
But Ernie does. Ernie does.
And,
Classic.
I was going to say something there, but that got me.
Now, when Ernie, and I know people, and I've done this before too, like when you start getting upset and somebody says you need to calm down or something, then it makes you even more mad. Or if somebody said, oh, Ernie's coming out, would that be like, oh, why do you have to say that? I'm not getting mad.
They didn't usually confront Ernie.
Oh, okay.
We would talk about Ernie when Ernie was downstairs sleeping one off.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Because Ernie's the one that made me drink, too.
What do you mean?
Well, he's just part of that crew. They don't think about, they think about going out. They're not thinking about going out and sitting in the park talking about philosophy, like I would like to do. No, they want to go down there and start drinking at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Just looking for trouble.
Looking for action. Looking for a pot to stir. Good old boys. They all, they all knew Ernie.
I believe that adrenaline can be as addictive as any drug there is.
Well, it certainly is that for people that are hooked on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like anything else you get hooked on.
Mm-hmm.
If you're hooked on it, it's strong for you.
It's an interesting thing.
Yeah, there's that going on.
You have an Ernie?
I don't think so. I really don't get too. I live a pretty peaceful. People don't really press my buttons that much.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody at work told me this week that I was too nice. That's why people walk all over me. I said, "Who walks all over me?" She goes, "Everybody does." I was like, "Oh, okay. I must really be nice because I didn't even notice that." They get after me because I'm too. Like if somebody's telling me something that's completely like one of the ladies at work just is she can just annoy the crap out of people, but you get used to it, You're just like, I know she's not yelling at me. She's just having a bad day. And they'll come in after she leaves. You can't let her yell at you like that. And I'm like, no big deal. She wasn't yelling at me. She was just upset about something. Yeah. Well, no, she shouldn't treat you like that. I'm like, oh my God, that doesn't even bother me. Oh, you're too nice. I think I'm just like I can just let it slide off my back, I guess. I mean, I haven't had anybody really yell at me where I took it personally for quite a while. This one was just, a little bit cuckoo bird. So you just like sit there like, oh, I wish you'd go away. But you're not getting like, mad at her.
Mm-hmm.
Not taking it personally.
Yeah. But I would never let her speak to me that way. I was like, well, if you confront her instead of going long, or just let her burn her steam up and get out of here.
Smart.
Because I'm not even a conversation. Just. God, I hope she's not. I don't think she watches this show. She came in. We had a bunch of policies in a notebook, and she had asked me to get some stuff together. So she comes in just like out of the blue. Goes, oh, here's that notebook. This shouldn't be in here. This is the wrong thing. Just like throwing things on the floor. And I'm just sitting there looking at her like, why'd you even come in here? What are you doing? So she she was like flipping through the different chapters or the binders and threw it all on the floor. And then she gets to the end and she's like, oh shit, this is the right stuff. She's got to like get down on the floor and try to put all the paper back together. And they could hear people down the hall. That's what happened. And she, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. And she, pages are all wrinkled and stuff. And then they're like, why you let her do that to me? I said, man, I was just sitting there thinking, what in the world's going on? I didn't even try to stop her. I was like, maybe I did put something wrong in there. I don't know. Yeah. Like, what? I guess I should have said, slow down. Like, let's look at this, But I just, all right. I just went back to my computer, was typing, looking over at her. So yeah, I wouldn't be good in prison letting people walk all over me.
What do you think would be your saving grace in prison? What aspect of your personality would get you through it?
I can suck a mean dick.
Oh, God. Yeah, we went from a Christmas special.
Oh, my God.
What has happened? X-Men.
That was a joke, everybody. I don't want any
Back it
proposals
up. Back it all the way past. Go all the way past Ernie. Let's go right before Ernie.
I don't know.
Rewind.
I don't know what I would do. There's a book about this guy. I don't want to hear about it.
I want to hear about that book.
It's got large print.
Shut up for a minute.
There's a book. Well, I guess you call it a book.
Nathan, sing a Christmas song.
Jingle bells, jingle bells.
There's a really good book about this guy that he stole the moon rocks, like when they brought the rocks back from the moon.
The moon rocks. Gotcha.
So I think it was at NASA or something. He got a job at NASA doing something or other. His goal was to steal these moon rocks. And this is a true story. So he worked there for a couple of years, and he figured out how, and he got in, and he stole a bunch of the moon rocks. And then, of course, it was like every policeman in the world was trying to figure out who did this. So they caught him and saying that, and he was just like a nice guy. He wasn't like a violent criminal. He just had this good idea to make a bunch of money. So he had to go to prison, and he said when he went in there, they didn't send him to like the hardest prison in the world, but he said there was some scary people there. But he said they were he just seemed so intelligent and so kind and just a normal guy that people basically were sort of like, this guy must be psycho. They were sort of scared of him, like, nobody comes in here and just acts like a normal person. So, and then he said he had a lot of stories, and he knew a lot of stuff, and could make people laugh. So after a while, he said they just left him alone. Not left him alone, like ignored him, but didn't, harm him or do anything mean to him.
That's cool.
Yeah. So maybe I'd go in there and start telling a bunch of stories. Don't make me show you my Ernie. I think it would just be the first week there would be, oh my God.
Yeah, that's the crucial.
I can't even watch movies about prison. I can't even like The Green Mile. Everybody tells me that's a wonderful movie.
Oh, it is a good movie.
I was like, man, I can't even watch a movie about people in jail.
No?
It's just especially, there's so many movies, where they're innocent. You get put in jail for that's like a classic movie thing. I didn't do it. I was framed. Or you spend all this time in jail. Like, oh my God. To be locked up for something you didn't do, that's a horrible.
It's so arbitrary too. Like how I remember that even when we were growing up, the drug war was still at its apex. Yeah. I mean, we saw a lot of stuff, but it's just so arbitrary from person to person how much time they have to serve for doing the same thing. It's like you hear these, especially during the drug war, which is like even like that's like, yeah, you did it. But what did?
Right.
I mean, you're in prison for that. Like, I don't know. It's still insane, but it's at the height of it was even more insane. And just like just hundreds of thousands of people in jail for drugs.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
Didn't hurt another person.
Yeah, that's crazy. That really is crazy.
It's just surreal. And that's the kind of thing, like, it sort of goes on to a greater thing. It's like, here we are living in the world. There's hundreds of thousands of people in jail for drugs in your country. That's an injustice.
Right.
That's a barbaric, inhumane, insane injustice being perpetrated in your society. And you'll get outraged about it once you realize what's going on, but then you have to sort of just go about your day. Like, you have to get back to your life. Or commit yourself to righting that wrong and dedicating your life to trying to end that injustice. That's one path, but otherwise, you just sort of have to find a way to healthily pursue your own joy in a world where you're cohabitating with this terrible, inhumane injustice.
Yeah.
Isn't that an ongoing dilemma that humanity faces? You see these injustices in the world, and how do you accept that so that you can pursue your own passion? Or
yeah, that's a good question. I think, as you were saying there at the end, and I started thinking about our Native Americans and how they must, feel every day. I mean, the atrocities done to them, and the Cherokee Nation and the Trail of Tears, and what was done by those people back then was abominable. Mm-hmm. And it's part of our history, but as a culture, as a people, it was done to them and hasn't really been that rectified. We are still able to ignore the reservations and You know, even today. So
Out of sight, out of mind.
yeah, there's so much of that. On the other hand, you can only do what you can do. And you have to decide where, if you have extra money coming in and you want to give it to somebody, there's this time of year, everybody wants some of it. So you got to try to figure out what to do with it and how to use it wisely. But well, it's a rough time out there for a lot of different reasons that we're dealing with in the nation. The whole Islamic, Israeli, the Jewish, that whole religious thing there, and what's the solution? And there just doesn't appear to be one, which is so sad.
It is sad.
I see so much of this where at the bottom of the ladder, which is where most of the people live, everybody's pretty cool.
Right.
When you're around other
But
people.
at the top of the ladder.
But as the further you go up the ladder and the further you get distance from that, the less caring there is about what's going on down there. It's almost like you have to be that way to be up there, you know?
Right.
And I just see that in every business that starts out doing the right thing for its employees, and then ends up getting too big, and the decisions aren't being made with human beings in mind. They're being made to generate profit, and that runs everything from politics on down, and that's the problem we have. And that's my Christmas message.
Were we talking about COVID and how that changed kids? Was that us, or was that talking about that with somebody else?
I don't know.
Well, maybe it was somebody else, but they were talking about how their kids, like the 2 years for COVID or whatever it was, 18 months, it just really messed them up for school and everything else. And we were having that, must have been somebody else to tell me, because they were telling me about it. I was thinking, man, so you're at home with all the luxuries of your home. You know, you've got, basically you can go outside, do whatever you want. And just like imagine in the 60s or 70s, you get busted for a little bag of weed or something, thrown in jail. That really, if being in your own home affects people so bad, imagine going to jail for 3 years. You don't ever come out the same. It didn't teach you. It was just like rubbing your nose in the dirt to tell you did wrong. It's not, nobody goes to jail and comes out and goes, oh, I learned a valuable lesson. If people are going to be affected by 18 months in their own, you pooting around here with your guitars, me at home with all my books and stuff, imagine sitting in a cell somewhere for that.
I feel like that whole justice system was flawed from inception, because I've always had an issue with punitive justice, because punitive, as opposed to rehabilitative justice or restorative justice, there's ideas of justice that are focused on the individual. But the punitive justice system does not care about the individual. The punitive justice system wants to make an example of that individual to control the rest of the population.
Right.
And that's what it's all about. If we punish you hard enough, it'll scare me from doing what you did. Right. Your health, your soul is not a concern in a punitive justice system. It's all about making an example of the person. And that just becomes a barbaric mess.
But at the same time, you're sending them back into society, which doesn't make any sense at all. It only makes sense if you're going to eliminate them from society.
Right.
And they try to do that by making it hard to readjust. But, there's no way that's the best way. I don't know, I have never explored it, but I've heard the Japanese system of justice is a whole lot more
restorative, like a holistic.
Where the last step is prison, where you have a series of chances to rehabilitate and show that you wouldn't do that again, and then do some public service and then go on. They try to keep you out of jail, because it costs money to keep you in jail.
Right.
Makes sense. Except that we have a whole
Now we have a for-profit prison
Exactly, and there's the problem.
Yeah, that's
what we've had.
That's a whole other layer of horribleness.
Yep.
Gail, welcome to the show. Good to see you. Heather, just before I get too far away from it, reminded me about when my dog Frog, remember Frog?
Oh, yeah.
Used to be a regular at Marina's, and Beanie would always give him hot dogs, raw hot dogs. It was a good memory. Thank you for that.
Has anybody here been to Pale Fire in Harrisonburg, the brewery?
Nope.
Dogs allowed. I went in there for the first time last Friday.
Uh,
Almost everybody there dressed as Evel Knievel.
what?
The whole theme of the place is Evel Knievel. They had
Oh, the staff is dressed like that?
no, like the people. Like,
What?
there was like a little person with a little bike and a full Evel Knievel with a cape. There was like older
What?
men walking around with Evel Knievel helmets, the red, white, and blue suits.
This is a special day, right?
No, you can buy Evel Knievel shirts. It's like
Wait a second.
But talking about dogs there, but so a couple of people I went with brought their dogs with them, and dogs are just like wandering around, and so it's dogs and Evel Knievel, and then they have
I'm intrigued. I
They have
got to
a-
admit.
they have a big selection of records you can put on your own. Like you dig out a record and put it on, and then they have like a Evel Knievel colored streamers hanging down, maybe like as big as this opening right here. And when I first got there, I just thought it was more Evel Knievel themed stuff. But then they have like this big area in front of it with little tables and stuff. I was like, what is who's sitting on the floor over there? But then when they opened it up, it's all like books and coloring books. So people were bringing their kids and having a drink, and the kids were just getting coloring books and stuff and sitting down. They're to the very front of the room so everybody can see them, keep an eye on them.
Huh.
It was like the weirdest place.
Wow, I'm
this
very
Evel
intrigued.
All
I
this
got to
Evel
say.
Knievel stuff.
Is it Evel Knievel all the time or just this night?
That's the only time I've ever been there. I don't
Yeah.
know. But they sell Evel Knievel T-shirts and stuff. I know we were all talking about
Did
that.
they have this there?
I mean, the guys I
I'm
was
going
with.
to take this there. I'm going to be like the head of the place. Like, oh my God.
But no, the thing is, these were guys with motorcycles, real motorcycles, walking it around with like that whole outfit on, walking it through the bar.
You're
What,
kidding.
wait, full motorcycles in the bar?
Yeah, like, painted up just like Evel
Listen,
Knievel.
have you been
And these-
doing any hallucinogenic?
Yeah, I'm starting to doubt this
I-
whole
wait,
story.
wait, hold
He's just
it.
trying to trick us into going to Harrisonburg.
Hold the phone.
And the guys, there was a little, like a midget person there with a little bike and a full Evel Knievel outfit with a cape walking around. And then there was like, another guy would come by, like, and a lot of them were like older guys. And then there was like just regular, bar type people that looked like they just come there all the time, just sitting at the bar laughing and carrying on. They had like Evel Knievel shirts on. It's got like a big number 1 on it.
Huh.
That is strange.
But it doesn't say anywhere on it, Evel Knievel themed bar.
No, and Pale Fire, is that what you, it just sounded like a generic brewery when you first mentioned it. I was like, oh God, here we go. Some hoppy mess.
But it was so weird. But then, this is weird about so I went there, and of course, we're talking about Evel Knievel. So the next day on my phone, how your phone always has like a video of something you've been talking about. It was dudes, like they had built this ramp, they had those things and shooting them to see who could jump the first.
This was my favorite toy as a kid. And during the pandemic, I was live streaming every day, and I was telling a story about I was like, my favorite toy growing up. We started talking about our favorite toys growing up, and it was Stretch Armstrong and Evel Knievel.
Oh yeah.
And so then the next day, someone messages me and like, "What's your address? I got something for you." And a few days later, this showed up in the mail. It's a replica of my favorite toy growing up. This and it's just as satisfying as it ever was. Elliot was all over this thing when I first showed it to him. I can't wait to get back to it. But you put him on there, and crank this up. Then when it gets going good, you stop winding and he flies. And
Classic.
God, as a kid, you could just build ramps and try to jump teddy bears.
That's classic.
I think I set a world record for teddy bear jumping. 10 teddy bears. God, I wonder. Here, you want to try it? I'll put the camera on it. Just do it over to Lex. Do you know how to do it?
Oh yeah. Lex, be aware, getting the speeding motorcycle coming towards you.
Oh, you can actually see it already.
I forget how do you release it. I forget. All right,
Just
here.
stop winding.
Oh, it takes off. Oh man!
Good job.
Man, he took that blow right, bounced right off of
Did
it.
it make it to Lex?
Yep.
He's still going.
He's doing a burn rubber spin
We need a
out.
multicam for that.
Man, but seriously, now you have a video game like that's what's that? Cops and Robbers, or what's that?
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, so you can do amazing technical stuff that looks like a real. It doesn't beat that.
Doesn't beat that.
That's 100,000 more valuable than.
There's a new Grand Theft Auto coming out though.
Oh,
Maybe
no.
that should be the video game you play first.
So if anybody's in Harrisonburg, go to Pale Fire and get revved up.
This is the first place we talked about that I'm dying to check out.
Yeah, that was on Friday, so maybe it's Friday. But no, because
It had to be a theme night.
No, because I bought a T-shirt for my brother for Christmas.
Oh, they
Evil
sell
Knievel
them.
T-shirt.
It's
Yeah,
always there.
good beer too. And they got the really
Did
nice
Evil
pizza.
Knievel die doing a trick?
No, his kid.
I don't know.
When I worked at Markel, we got a.
Markel.
Yeah, that's like an insurance carrier, big, huge insurance company. We got a submission to insure his van, or like a
Oh,
big,
right. I've heard this story.
because he was going around doing little publicity things, trying to make people aware he needed a kidney. So we didn't get the bid, I don't think. But
Remember Super Dave Osborne? You remember that character, Super Dave Osborne?
No.
What was he on? He was like,
Nickelodeon, maybe?
I feel like
he was on
I
one
feel
of
like
those,
he was like a side thing.
he was like on that Jimmy Kimmel early thing with
The Man Show or something?
yeah, when he no, what's it? Or was he on like one of those
Letterman.
late night?
Brian says Letterman.
Yeah.
So
But
funny.
he never actually did any stunts, did
No.
he?
So funny. I can't even remember the gist, but I remember it was really funny.
Well, he always failed at what he was trying to do. It always ended in...
But he didn't really actually do it, did he? They wanted just like some staged funny thing.
Right.
Like he didn't really break any bones
Oh,
or anything.
back to our, I'm getting feedback from the chat here, back to our earlier conversation. You're talking about Japan. We have someone watching from Japan, and he's saying about the prison system, you're saying that maybe they have a more restorative justice versus punitive. He says, no, it's more draconian here.
Oh, really?
There's a 90% conviction rate, and they can hold you for 30 days with no warrant.
Ooh.
But generally, society polices itself, and police mostly just leave you alone on the whole. They are there to keep the peace, not incentivized to bust you for stupid stuff.
Huh. Very interesting.
He says Scandinavia supposedly where they have more rehabilitative justice. I know that that's true, like South Korea. Kethler was telling me when she went there, like their laws are super draconian. Like drugs are not tolerated, but then they just don't have drugs. And so it seems just clean and peaceful.
Right.
And you're just like, oh. But behind the scenes is like a really even more draconian than we are.
So maybe
I
that
guess
does
that's what
work.
they tried with the drug war, was to achieve that kind of society, and it just failed because Americans are like, don't tell me what to do.
That's what I was
there's
thinking,
something
too.
in our spirit that is just rebellious by nature.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't really know what South Korea is like, but I imagine they're not as free as uppity. We can do anything we want. The attitude
Right.
that we have.
But then you go there and you're just like, you get all confused because it's such a well organized, clean, pleasant society. You're just like, we suck. Like, I feel like if you go to like Singapore or something and come back to America, we look like not nice. Not nice. We look like a failing society compared to some of these places. They're so. I mean, you go into a store there and like everything is perfectly wrapped, and the experience is just all so pleasant and these are just stories I've heard. I'm not actually a traveler, but you do look at some of the pictures and stuff, like the high-speed rail, like their airports, their stores. A lot of these places, you watch videos and you're just like, oh my gosh, there's such different societies out there that really make you wonder what's possible and what's
it's like
going
those
on.
changes have to be like the high speed rail. Like Americans just want to drive to their work. They can leave and go to McDonald's. They can drive over here. They can leave early. They don't have to go wait. It's like I think it takes a long time to build up. Like, look, this has a purpose and it will work.
Right. And no matter what, at the end of the day, we're a very individualistic society.
Right.
And these societies are more collectivist,
Right.
which is such a fascinating difference.
Yeah.
And how that happens and what that means and how it's instilled in you from day one.
Right.
And how that frames your worldview and how you see things. It's just very, very different.
Well, it is weird, even like going to New York or something, you get on the subway and like, good grief, this thing's packed full of people I don't know, it's just like a shock almost. Like, where's my car? I want to be by myself, not, sitting beside somebody that's nodding off to sleep. This guy over here, like, just staring at you. You're like, what in the world's going on, Not even like fear, but just like a sense of, like you said, like your space is just like, I can't do this like I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But people in New York, like that's just what they do. You get used to it.
Mm-hmm. You ever been to New York City?
I have.
When was that?
I have no idea. I haven't been years, but that was the middle years. I wasn't there. I never was there when I was young. I didn't experience it. Yeah.
Do you remember why you went?
I think I have.
Met a lady.
I had a work study, a summer program. I was trying to learn to teach AP chemistry, so I took this program.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so you were there, you lived there for a little
Jesuit
bit?
school. I can't remember where it was, but it was.
So you were there for a while.
I was there for a week or so. Had the worst gout attack of my life.
Oh,
there.
wow.
It was horrible.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I couldn't even walk. I had to had to use a cane to get to the classes. And I was meeting all these new people. And it was supposed to be really fun, and I had a miserable time.
No, it's rough. Do you remember how you got there?
Well, I drove
You
up.
drove up.
I drove up. I had the car. But we got, I had been there. I've been to New York a couple of times. That was one time, I remember. But
It's so surreal. I mean, even though I've been several times, it's still driving into New York City is like just over the top stimulation and just a little bit of anxiety. Just like, holy moly, from Stanton to New York City. It's two completely different ideas.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
I just don't know how people keep up that pace and that.
Every time I've been, though, I've definitely thrived. There's something about the energy of the city that.
Oh yeah, it gets you
it's like
going.
eating elk or something raw, just like I'm just like charged by the energy of it.
Eating elk with its own teeth.
Eating elk with its own teeth. It's visceral.
Well, that's interesting how people I've watched over the years will go to a big city and have that reaction. In other words, we were all small town people. When the control group were all small town, and we went out our way. And some people hit the big city, and I hit it, and I said, I need a field, I need to see a bird.
Right.
It just wasn't me. Those walls were like prison.
Right.
I just couldn't do it. And I didn't like all that crowd. I didn't like the crowd. So I had anxiety just thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't me, but another person brought up the same way in the same type of background, just said, "Oh wow, that's just what you were describing." They thrived on the energy of
Right.
the place. And I think just everybody's
Which
different.
is interesting because it's like different spirits.
Oh yeah, and of course some people just appreciate both and do one for a while and then go and have their place in the mountains too. So you get that too. But yeah, I just couldn't. To me, being in the city would just be torture. For on just about every level, except probably the food.
Right.
There would have been a
Right.
time I would have appreciated the food.
And the action.
And the action and the bars and the women. Yeah, never mind.
There's different spirits. It's fascinating because, like in a big city, you have nightlife. Like I'm sure to this day. I know it was always true before. It's been a while since I've been, but there are places that like get going at 2 a.m.
Oh yeah.
and they bring the sun up every night, and there's hundreds of people in there doing that, and it's just interesting to me because the people that are in those places, for the most part, they're probably young but they're also like a kind of spirit that thrives in that atmosphere.
Right.
That spirit is born into souls in small towns,
Right.
and a lot of those people just like know they got to go to the city. Their spirit is drawn to it or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating. And then on the other, some people don't go, and they're just sitting there at 2 a.m. by themselves.
I was such a clown country boy hokey dokey when I was up there last time.
Country mouse.
I went up there to visit Margie. We went to, now I can't think of that little island you can go out on. You can see the Statue of Liberty and stuff.
Staten Island.
No, this
No?
is like a little park area. But when you get, it's like we used to go there a lot when I lived in New Jersey. But we went out there and the Statue of Liberty's in the distance. And I was like, man, I want to get a picture. So I made her take a picture of me smoking a joint with the Statue of Liberty behind me. And I was like, man, this is the best thing ever. I'm smoking a joint right in front of the Statue of Liberty. I was like, and then I was like, people probably look at me like, look at this clown ass up here. Like, big smile on his face. Ooh, look at me.
That was recent.
Yeah, it was like that was that night I left here, drove up there.
So it's not illegal now.
I mean, people up there were just people. It was like walking into a bar. There was so much smoke and people drinking and carrying on. But I was looking at it. I was like, "That's a man. Look at that." And I was like, "What a clown! Who cares?" But it made me happy for a little bit, so it was worth it.
Ellis Island.
No, I want an
That was a
immigrant.
guess.
Governor's Island?
Bean says big cities make me anxious. Rural lady here.
Well, one of the things about it gets you if I bring a friend to Stanton, or let's say somebody visits, and you're like, if you stay here 3 or 4 days, we can walk around downtown, we can do all the restaurants, chill. If you go to New York, like, man, I gotta get going. There's not just 5 cool stores, there's 5,000 cool places, restaurants, bars, bands, places you've read about. It's like almost like your body's like, I can't rest. I'm gonna miss something if I slow down. Like here, you can go downtown and sit for 3 hours enjoying a coffee or whatever, and then let's come back tomorrow. Okay, that's fine. Like, New York, it's 2 o'clock. Let's go home. I'm tired. No, are you crazy? Let's go to a club.
You can sit in one place all day and stand and not miss anything.
Right.
You can see every single person in town walk by almost.
This is sort of related, but a little bit of a different topic. I was just thinking the other night about how fortunate I was that during my touring years, my 20s and 30s, when I was just touring the country all the time, stopping in and playing all the big cities, one of my favorite things to do that I feel really grateful now that I got to do was, because I don't think this exists anymore, but as a young magician, every big city had a magic shop. Mm-hmm. And so I got to visit all the most famous magic stores in the nation before Now they're gone.
Yeah.
It just doesn't exist anymore. There's probably Colon, Michigan probably still has Abbott's because the whole town was built around that magic store. But for the most part, I got to stop in all these stores in their last decade of existence.
Oh, that's
Wow.
cool.
That's fascinating.
It is fascinating. Magic stores are so great because the thing that makes a magic store great is the person in there is always a magician.
Right.
And their sales tactic, it's not going to get any better than this. Their sales tactic is they'll perform a trick. And if you want to know how he did it, they'll sell it to you. It's like sales. I just loved it because you just knew whenever you walked into a magic store you're about to get a performance, and that's just because that's their salesman tactic.
Then would you ever try to do magic for them?
I never felt like I was that good.
Did you like shoplift stuff?
I never had swagger around magicians. I was always just a curious kid, even when in my 40s. It's like, oh my God.
That's something you could do in prison with magic. They would probably love that.
That's a good point.
Don't hurt him. He's doing magic.
Right.
You mess with his hands, you don't know what.
Right when he's about to kill me, I'd reach up and pull a coin out of his ear, and I'm like,
Were you
"There's
looking
more
for
where
this?
these came from." You gotta let that one be. Turn him loose.
Oh, look what I just found. A pardon. You sure you want to hurt me? Oh, it's gone now. Where did it go? Yeah, but that's the thing about New York too. You never know when you're gonna walk around the corner and there might just be some little unknown magic shop. Just some guy that's his lifelong passion. He's got like some little store barely staying alive. You know, just like what in the world? You know, that's any city. You go to Harrisonburg or Charlottesville, you never know what you're gonna run into. Really, you might run into an Evil Knievel bar, not even know what you're looking for.
It's wild how like self-fulfilling that can be. If you go to the city and you feel afraid and you're anxious and like you're a country mouse in the big city or whatever, you exude this target mentality to predators.
Right.
So it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
They can pick. I got mugged in Boston once, and I knew that like the moment the guy laid eyes on me, just like knew he had his. And I don't know. It was a whole thing.
Yeah, a lot of the times I went to New York, I was with people that knew it, so you felt. But like when I would go with like me and Stephanie went one time, and it was like like what you're saying. So you try to make yourself look like I belong here, even though you're like, I know I don't belong here, and everybody knows it. But you try to look like like, don't. Why does that air right over me? It's out of towner, He's the one. He's nice. You can walk all over him. Hey. Oh my God. But it's nice. Like a lot of people I know will go up there and they go see all the tourist things and stuff. Like that's cool, but man, you got to get in and get your hands a little bit dirty and scuff your feet up a little bit.
I just had this vivid memory. It might not express well, but I remember one of my big city friends from college. We all went to DC together, and he was like a big city guy, and I was like the country guy. And all of a sudden, somebody comes up and starts chastising our group, and he like immediately went crazy. My friend like just flipped out on him. Did the Phillies win? Like I don't know. It was like non sequitur, just weird. And the guy just sort of turned around and walked away. And I was just so struck by that. I was like, oh my God, that just happened. Like this friend of mine is so savvy.
Right.
Like I would have just fallen into I would have been the foil for whatever fold he was trying to ensnare me in. I just would have like, oh, we're going down an alley now? Okay, what do you need again? Just like
sure, I'll
no
help you.
street smarts whatsoever. And I was,
Dark back there.
Is that a gun? What do you have a gun for? It must be dangerous down here.
What's that table?
I remember we went to. I had some friends who lived in D.C. and we. I remember one time we had been out drinking. We got in a cab, and the cab driver was playing some music, and he's like leans back, "Y'all like this music?" And we're like, "I'm like, yeah, whatever." And like, "You want to buy it? It's mine." And my friend's like, "Oh my God, don't talk to this guy, Kyle. This is like every cab you get in, somebody's be trying to sell you something, incense or something." He's like, "This is my music, you like it." My friends are like, grabbing my leg, "Stop talking to it. Just get the fuck out of this car before you get out a bunch of tapes, blank cassettes probably. Hey, look what I got. Get home and like nothing on. There's not even any tape in this cassette." When my brother moved, he went to Chicago. He went to school in Chicago for a semester, and his roommate was, I forget, from somewhere, not Chicago. And they were like their first week there was a guy on the street selling VCRs, and his friend bought one, got home, just had bricks in it. It was like nothing even,
Oh,
there's
man.
just a sealed up box. They just. Yeah.
The hustle.
No.
Oh, street scams. You gotta love that stuff. You buy like a DVD that I mean, sometimes it's legit.
Right.
But it was like you'll buy a DVD that the cover has been made on like at a Kinko's, or like it's a Xerox copy of the original cover. And then you put it in and you go to watch it, and somebody has gone to the movie in a theater, filmed it.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's like handheld. They filmed the movie and then made copies and sold it on the street. You got to respect that, because they could have just as easily had a blank disc in there.
Right.
They went through the effort to legitimately bootleg this movie. I guess for repeat customers, it's important if you live there.
At some like the music flea market things we would go to, you'd get like a DVD, like a Rolling Stones 1968, great concert. You get it home and be like 5 minutes you're watching it, and it ends. Like somebody I guess they couldn't burn them fast. I'll just put a couple of minutes on there in case they say put it on and make sure there's something on it.
Gosh.
Say like, oh yeah, something on there, I'll buy it. Then they get home. You're like,
Oh man, that is wrong. It's so wrong, Josh.
did anybody guess what the Flintstones?
Oh, I never saw it.
We think we know, but we're not sure.
Here, I'll ask Percy. Oh, by the way, Percy's getting a surgery tomorrow.
Oh.
So, he's been wearing that cone for a while because the infection is still oozing and won't heal. And apparently they think that an infection's gotten under the plate they put in there years ago. So they're going to open him up and remove that plate.
Wow.
So,
Good luck, Percy.
So keep Percy in your thoughts. Big day tomorrow. But we have a lot of confidence with the people that we're working with, and they seem real capable and confident that it's an easy thing. So, but keep them in your thoughts.
We will.
What was the name of the alien on the Flintstones?
I'm still going with the Great Gazoo.
I think it is like a gazoo. Thank you, Beans. Did you bring a lesson plan? I just looked at the time. We might not even have time for it.
Well, it wasn't anything real planned. Had some ideas. We have a minute, or you want to just finish?
Yeah,
up?
we got a minute.
Well, I'll play this game with you. I was thinking about numbers the other day and the human mind. The first number that comes up, so we're going to play a quiz game. Y'all get to play.
I like that.
I'm going to ask a question, and you'll tell me what you think the answer is. And you get a guess, one guess each.
Okay.
And the closest one wins.
Do we have to buzzer in or anything?
No. Unless you want to. No.
Okay.
I haven't made up the game yet. All right. You got your right knee is your buzzer.
Okay.
First one to hit their right knee.
Gazoo. The Great Gazoo.
Gazoo is exactly what you thought.
Ding, ding. All right, you got 1 point already.
Yeah, 1-0. Here's one that I was watching the news the other night, and they had the weather report on. and they said that they were expecting snow in elevations over 2,000 feet. And I realized that I have lived in Stanton, Virginia, for all these 75 years, and I didn't know the elevation of Stanton, Virginia. So that's number one.
Gosh.
Now, in feet,
In feet.
what is the elevation above sea level of Stanton, Virginia?
1,000 feet.
1,000.
I was gonna say 800.
800.
Lex, you got a guess?
Lex, got a guess?
1,395.
Did you giggle?
He knows things. He just knows things.
I didn't Google.
Well, it probably is where you are, but it's 1420 is.
1420.
Gosh,
Whoa,
you were
ding,
close.
ding,
You were like
ding. You were so
25,
close.
25 feet
Lex
off.
gets all the money.
Gosh.
I think it's a car. It's out front.
Now you can keep the car, or you can try with the next question. What
Yeah.
would you like to do?
Do you want to keep the car or
Or you
what's mine,
want
door
to
number
play
3?
again? You want to play one more time? There's another car on the line.
You got
right?
another?
Yeah.
All right.
That's a trick question too, because Stanton's so hilly. There's got to be.
Well, that's why he was right.
Oh, that's okay.
It's about 100 feet, give or take, but you didn't get
Right.
close to 1420. 1240. No, it's 1420. 1240 is another thing I was going to talk about tonight.
WTON?
We lost WTON.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another thing going on now. We can talk about goodbye WTON, which I have a lot of that. But we also want to talk about the new competition. Keep your eye on this one.
Whoa, what's this?
WNRN versus Q106.3.
What do you mean versus?
Well, WNRN out of Charlottesville,
yeah.
a million other places, by the way, bought 1240. They're the ones that
Oh, they bought WTON?
they bought WTON, and they are broadcasting WNRN on AM and FM. FM was a 94.3 oldie station. So it's now, when you go, when everybody went Monday morning to hear the rock and roll oldies, they were on WNRN.
What kind of music do
Wow.
they play? Do you know?
Well, they're a public station just like W.
They have a lot of in-studio performances.
And they have
stuff.
a lot more musical background.
Right.
They have a history that's, Q106 is trying to establish a mission or whatever they are, but WNRN's established and has all kinds of listeners already.
Yeah, I performed on NRN a couple times back in the day.
Well,
But
that's gonna
Monday?
it's gonna be interesting
So
to see.
they
how-
just bought the place on the dial, not the building and stuff
I think
downtown.
they bought. I don't know. Somebody bought it. I don't know if they're going to have offices in there and do shows there. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't know that. All I know is that right now, if you go to 1240 AM, and you're hearing WNRN too, that's a whole new market.
That's interesting.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's the end of an era. WTON growing up was such a classic local radio
it was
station.
the local station.
They had their fundraiser at the Rescue Squad every year with local talent performing on the air. It was always like a marathon, telethon kind of thing.
This time
Phones
of year,
are lighting up.
remember the Cinnamon Bear?
I don't think I do.
When I was a kid, which, that's a long time ago, but the Cinnamon Bear, they did a cereal. They started about the day after Thanksgiving, and it ran, and so every afternoon at 4:30, there'd be a episode of the Cinnamon Bear. And I heard it, from the time I was 4, I would listen every afternoon.
Oh, wow.
Come home from kindergarten. But it was a great classic.
How long was WTON around? Do you know?
Well, all the time I was here, So it goes back to I'm sure the 40s and 30s.
Right. Wow.
But yeah. Now where was I? What was I doing before we got
Trivia.
off?
Numbers trivia.
Number 2. You ready? Mm-hmm. The average male sperm ejaculation number.
1 million
The amount of sperm, or how many
per
times?
load.
How many
How many
ejaculate?
living sperm are ejaculated in the average male ejaculation?
Oh God! What'd you say? 1 million?
I just remember the Bill Hicks bit. I have wiped civilizations off of my chest with a gray gym sock.
I'll say 8 million.
8 million.
8 million.
The average is 90 million.
90 million.
90 million little sperm.
You know what I
guys.
learned related just the other night is when a sperm reaches the egg and enters the egg, a light is emitted at that moment. You saw that? It was on Twitter or something. There's a little flash of light that happens when that connection's made.
And an angel gets his wings too. Right?
And this loving
An angel gets a cigarette.
and loving spoonful thing. Do you believe in magic?
Do you believe in magic in a young girl's heart? Magic. I got to meet John Sebastian once when I opened for Ramblin' Jack Elliott. John Sebastian was backstage.
Wow.
Wow.
And remember, people
That's some name dropping.
after
Yeah, I did it. It's a true story.
after the song, don't tune out because Cinnamon Bear comes on right after us.
Stick around.
For a small fee.
Here's one I probably won't remember. I just called up the words. Percy remembers the words here on Discord. Oh, by the way, on a business-related note, someone reached out to me recently about the all-access section on nathansland.com, and they went back. They bought access and went back there, and were sad to see that there was no Surprise Me, Mr. Davis back there, because I'd never talked to the guys about doing that. And he wrote me and was like, I was really hoping there would be some Davis back there. So I reached out to everybody in the band and asked them if it would be okay if I put some Surprising Mr. Davis on my website for the all-access people, and they were all super sweet and said, absolutely, do it.
Oh,
So I put up the first record now, only in Montreal. The first real record we made is now available to stream on my website in all access, and there's a lot more coming down the pipeline. So
Right.
there you go.
Very good.
So this is a song I wrote about my Ernie. And I don't for the sake of the song, I call my Ernie Ted. Ted. There's a guy called Ted who lives inside my head. And if you ever met him, then you might be dead. I don't much like him, but once he saved my life, now he says I owe him, so I'm drinking tonight. Wasted was Ted, wasted was Ted, wasted was Ted, was I. Well, Ted buys the bar around. I don't know where he gets the dough, but after each and every pint he says, just one more. I said, hey, where are we going? How we gonna get home? He runs and leaps like a madman, screaming, leave me alone, just leave me alone. Wasted was Ted, wasted was Ted, wasted was Ted, was I. Kazoos! You know, I I can go for days, for weeks, sometimes even months, without seeing, hiding, or hair of Ted, not even once. But when I find my feet and breathe a relieved sigh, Ted from out of the blue comes crashing like the sky, comes crashing like the sky. And wasted was Ted, wasted was Ted, wasted was Ted was I. Yeah, wasted was Ted, wasted was Ted, wasted was Ted was I.
Perfect tie-in as
There you
usual.
go.
Man always has a song.
Good to hear.
Love you so much. Thank you very much for watching. We will
Do
see
good,
you
everybody.
next time.
Stay out of jail. Stay out
Yeah.
of prison.
Ted and Ernie shouldn't get together, I don't think.
No. Gonna keep them apart.
Man.
Be a lot of pot stirring in there.
So you have a Ted or an Ernie?
Yeah.
I can't see you getting mad.
It hadn't happened very
Unlucky.
much.
I thought Surly in the morning might be about that.
Surly, yep. My morning alter ego. The before coffee me.
Wow. We ran the gamut tonight.
Did we?